this fundraiser. And I just have to say, I have never known that there was a problem in getting costumes. Sometimes there's a problem getting them through Amazon, but if there was anything a kid ever needed, price-wise, that's never been an
I think it
issue.
had to do with getting enough of the budget allocated for the big production numbers at the end where everybody's in the same outfit as opposed to having the fancier costumes for the more specialized numbers. So I think it was like nobody really was wanting to spend the
It on
money
that.
on the,
So something special we're using it for.
yes.
I love it. I love a purpose.
Just to cut in, this follows all of the ethics rules that are laid out for the LSC, that you're not monetarily.
It's a donation for me from the program, so I purchased them through. The reason why I was able to do that is because the vendors, without question, that I work with, because of the advertising that I do, is offering this. I mean, most of what they did it for no cost to even me. The expense came in with the t-shirts, and I just bought that off as a donation to the school. So it falls within that, and then what that also does is it also allows all the revenue that's sold to be able to go to the program itself. So the investment that I'm putting into it is far less than what the cost would be if they had to purchase these items, and they will be making 100% of the profit on everything that they sell. So that's how we get around it. My teeth head, Peters. And I will say, this was all kind of in the works, and all this stuff kind of has been sitting in my house for months because we had this ready to go for the winter show. And so I do know that there is branding stuff that the committee, which committee is it? Fundraising committee for the Senn Arts program. This is in the works and already rolling before that started, and we've already dovetailed in that, so there's not any duplication or at least at this point or any ruffle feathers.
I think you should get this approved, fill out that paperwork, and take some stuff to the Whiskey Girl next week and sell it.
Oh, yeah.
On the street, I'll sell it on the street. The other thing too is that they have had fundraisers in the past, and there have been people who've been asking in the dance program for like, when are teachers going to be done? So I do know that there's going to be a demand as opposed to taking orders and then trying to fulfill those orders. We just have the sizes there, and we'll be able to buy them and take them with them. It's wonderful.
Okay. So do we need to have a motion? We can vote pending approval of. So.
I so move to allow this fundraising activity for Senn Arts as proposed by Mr. Mcguire.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. Any other fundraising action items, votes? One is enough for today. Okay. For the chair report, I mostly want to just focus on Diana's put out the spreadsheet. I also got one from Jose, which I put on the Google Drive. Just showing the training completions. I will say, because when Jose was like, "Hey, you only did one," I'm like, "No, that's not true." I put through a lot of very boring hours just for that to be true.
In 2023.
So I reached out to Raise Your Hand. If you've done the trainings through Raise Your Hand, they are not showing up here.
Can I ask a question? Does this include the level 1 training?
So this is for the LSC. These are the 9 mandated trainings that you're supposed to complete. Everybody who is on there is having completed like less than 3 is in gray. So if you have completed trainings and they were through a different vendor and they are not being tracked properly, then that would.
Because I would say what you have on your list for me does not match what is in the Senn LSC dashboard, which does not correlate with my Safe Schools training.
Yeah.
Because right now it looks like you haven't taken any trainings. It looks like, Michael, you haven't taken any events, that you've only taken 1.
Right. And
So
that's
meaning that you've taken 2 and that you're
taking more.
But I think what I'm hearing in regards to what Ben was reporting out.
So I reached out to Raise Your Hand. At least that's the other group that's putting on these trainings, and the response I got was like, yes, I'm looking back to the trainings back to April 2024, and we'll be putting them in. So.
They say that to be on the LSC, you have to be a level 1 volunteer.
No,
No.
it's completely separate.
Yeah, so is it? You got it.
we members have to do the trainings in 6 months, so I was very active about that. And I spent all the forms, so I'll contact downtown about that too.
Yeah, all the raise your hand stuff, none of it is showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, if folks want, I have all, I can show you the.
Mr. Forgue, I am not asking you to put out your safe schools training. I will take you at your word.
Yeah, you're.
Ethical.
So yeah, I just want to let everyone know I did follow up on that, and it's like, if you have other trainings to complete, the on-demand sessions are available now. I highly recommend not trying to binge watch them and give yourself several days to go through them, or your brain will turn into soup. But the raise your hand trainings are good. They're a little bit longer, and then they take a while to get reported, apparently.
There's a new platform
Yeah.
now.
What's
There's
that?
a new platform. You need to register safe. Whatever.
Oh, safe
Yeah,
schools,
safe
that's
schools,
fine.
yes, that
Yeah,
was.
but even then, like, it doesn't go to safe schools, like the safe schools, you have to then go form. And you have to put in the session date and the training.
Yeah,
And
it's.
Yeah, it seems like
Yeah.
it's not being tracked properly, but I want to make everybody aware that, like.
Yeah, it definitely, it definitely is not.
Because I went to look today, they asked for like an ID number. I ChatGPT'd it, and in fact, it's an ID number. It's ChatGPT gave it to me. It's an ID number for English, and an ID number if you want it in Spanish. So just do LSC training ID number, and they give it to you.
There's also an event on Super Saturday event, I believe, on the 22nd.
Yes,
So you can
there's,
sign up for that. It sounds like there's other.
you do, I think it's like a three session, I think.
Yeah, it's through CBS, so.
And with the board, they usually do breakout rooms with training as well.
And so if anybody is needing to get their trainings done, and you want to do it in person to be able to ask questions and pick people's brains, Super Saturday is a great opportunity.
It is very useful information. It's not the most exciting information, but it is very useful, and it's good to have. That was all I had. On to the next one.
I mean, it's really tough once you fulfill a principal and school's dream, 2 weeks ago. But we have some great things going on around here with some great people. Thank you so much, first of all, to our parents who donated to make the senior lock-in a success. There's something about a sad face emoji when I send it out that parents really step out to make sure kids have what they need. There's nothing, I scared of two things in my life: missing my alarm and teenagers going hungry. And teenagers did not go hungry, and I did not miss my alarm, so things are good. And also thank you to our staff who volunteered at the lock-in. When you are an adult at a lock-in, you don't get to sleep, even though our children are weak and they passed out at 2 o'clock, which I had to go around and wake them up, which I found hilarious. And so no matter what time, we have adults in this building that are willing to be here for kids, so that really means a lot. Thank you to our counseling team for all that they do. Last week was National School Counselors Week, and they do a lot for the whole child. And also, I forgot to add this one, shout out to our IB coordinators as well, from Sarah to Wolf to Claire, as they are also celebrating the whole recognizing the IB learner profile. So we had a great breakfast for kids last week, which was it last week or the week before, which was really fun. Okay, we always talk about these. What are our 3, and the spheres cannot answer, CIWP priorities?
Inclusive learning?
Yes.
There you go. That's one I remember. Post-secondary?
Yeah. Okay, Faris, what is it?
I didn't hear the two
Oh.
given.
Post-secondary.
Post-secondary and supportive and inclusive learning. He took it when it was your time, sorry. Those are what we continue to work on. So AP Brewer and I are in a network PLC, a professionals learning community, and we are focusing on attendance. A lot of us see attendance that is just has been stagnant. And what do incentives do for kids to get them to come to school when sometimes it's not their fault that they can't get to school because there's car trouble or other things? And so we worked with other principals to pilot something, and we worked to really dive down into, well, what group are we going to focus on? Who are we going to focus on? So we are working on providing tiered attendance support to our 10th grade male students between 70 and 80% attendance to see what type of traction that we can get. So it's a group of about 20 kiddos that we're going to start meeting with just to see what obstacles might be in their way and what barriers we can remove to get them here. Moving on, when it comes to Domain 2, the instructional core, night school. You all are fantastic, and credit recovery is up and running. We continue to host it here Monday and Wednesday. Some schools host it Tuesday, Thursday, as well as Saturday. So we have a great number. We have a number of students that are enrolled, but it is going to ensure that we have seniors that graduate and walk across that stage. So we are in a great spot in looking at seniors and auditing their transcripts. We have had staff members that continue to receive ongoing IB training. We had a handful of our world language teachers out last week. It's still going. Ms. Zeman, I know, was out Monday and Tuesday learning about global context. The post-secondary team continues to host FAFSA info sessions. We had 50 juniors complete an application for 57 Chicago Scholarship Program. That was a lot of targeted work there with some incentives, some fee waivers based by the supported by the post-sec department. We had a whole staff PD led by our ILT last week, and then also supporting some of our physics teacher by providing planning time, especially for IB physics since it's a 2-year course. So giving them classroom coverage and then support from our science lead as well. Moving on, we hosted a senior lock-in. The Senn Squid Games were a huge success. We had glow-in-the-dark roller skating where the wheels lit up with an amazing DJ. We had laser tag. We had glow-in-the-dark mini golf. This year, everyone was roller skating that we ran out of roller skates in a good way. Like there was a waiting line to skate, which is really cool. We had a premiere of the Senn TV video of the week that the kids got to vote on. So tacos, cereal, ice cream, and then breakfast in the morning, and then it was time to go home. We celebrated students with an honor roll assembly, and the amount of kids that, I feel like we were doing that day when we voted and I had to go. And so just seeing the amount that we're able to walk across the stage is incredible, and having students who haven't necessarily always made good choices this year are coming up and saying like, Principal Dacres, did you see me? Did you see my name? And so then also celebrating them in the cafeteria as well. I think they got candy. January IB Learner Profile Award Breakfast, which was really cool to see students that you might not always get to see. And that what's great about that, it's nominated by teachers and coming up with a consensus. We have celebrated our senior athletes at their senior night. And what's really cool this year is that Ms. Frank has worked with students and coaches to have them not only escorted out by parents, but also having them escorted out by a teacher that has really meant so much to them. Because like, there's always that one teacher that I think when we walk across the stage that we remember of like how they influence. So that's really cool. Finally, moving on, we are onboarding a new SICA as Mr. Colson has retired after how many years? Yeah. He's been here. He's been to Amundsen. So he's finishing out coaching with basketball season and then softball season. And so he's at a soft retirement right now. And there was a Stephen who was subbing, and we were like, hey, you're pretty great. And we were able to flag her in. So really excited. Loves being here. People spoke highly of her. And then CPS placed a new engineer here, Mr. Jameson. So we are currently fully staffed with engineering until tomorrow, when one has to shift over to Swift because that poor engineer suffered a fall. So I think that's one thing that we always do as schools, just share No. It happened in the principal's office, and I was like, oh, that's not great. But hopefully, after some physical therapy, he will be recovered to come back to Senn so that I can have my three together. So yeah, that's what's going on in the land of Senn. Oh, and I forgot to add, Melody, how did you let me forget this? I can evaluate teachers again for another 5 years, don't worry. And as soon as Izzy says I can pay my money, I'll be recertified for another 3 years. Did that today. And then tomorrow I will be at Garfield Park as part of the principal quality for eligibility. So being a part of panels on deciding, I don't know, you pick. So being able to be
And just to follow up on on our last special meeting, we transferred the money, which is 111,360.
The exact amount.
Yeah, the exact amount. And
nothing more, nothing less.
Pretty much on the waiting list. Is it still 12 months?
10 to 12.
10 to 12 months. You'll get a bus.
So is this a purchase that has been made, or is the money just in the account for when the purchase is made and then the LSC?
So the LSC approved to transfer the funds to make the purchase. The money was moved from internal accounts to the line where it is sitting there. We cannot receipt anything until we receive the goods.
Yes.
It's just in limbo right now until I get it back, and then I can say receipted. Because every item that we purchase and that is shipped here, that is a purchase order, we have to go back.
Is there interest on that bank account?
You know, that's above my pay grade. I'm just excited that kids can get to Northern or can get downtown for a show, or we can take art stuff to the ray gun.
And just to clarify, like CPS administration, this is a program through them.
Right, which is
so-
why I copied the fleet management handbook next to the minutes from the last meeting.
Right, so it's not like,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's not like we went to Carvana and just like bought a
No.
bus.
I'm just annoyed Upland has two, and we are just on the waiting list for one. So.
All right, we have no student representatives tonight, so PAC and BAC. Reports.
I can report for BAC, sorry, Mr. Sheik is covering night school. In terms of, BAC, we had our employment, event with, in Tucson, we had 10 families who came, and did resume workshop, they all created resumes, and they are now working with students to find, placement, which is really cool. We are also, excited to partner with PAC, on the, Know Your Rights training, that will be happening on February 20th, so that is next Thursday. Open to, Senn families, all that stuff.
Yeah, so we actually have, I think, the next 2 months of collab events with backpacks. So we'll have the Human Rights February, and coming up in March, we'll have SNAP benefits. It's moving to reach a lot of coming up in March. We have a new officer for our PAC, for our secretary, Shawl, is so she has made us whole again. So it's exciting.
Backpack is giving me serious Dora the Explorer vibes. All right, Francis Senn.
Yeah, so we just met. That's actually a little bit why I'm late to the meeting online. And I think it was fairly productive. Have a framework kind of sketched out for the rest of the year. Hoping within the next month to get most of the things buttoned up as far as Chatter Up and the website. And then we can kind of start a We're Back campaign. We're not thinking that there will be any great big fundraisers until the fall, but hopefully we'll be doing some more fun things like the movie night, and so more things that are aimed at building.
Okay. Communications FOIA.
done this time, and everything has, all loops have been closed.
All right, BPLC.
So the two things that we were like target attendance, ISS, hall walkers. Most of the students in ISS are there for attendance issues, behavior issues are down. There's been a bit of an uptick in hall walking and like the regular hall walkers in the last couple of weeks, and then there have been questions from teachers about tardy forms and how they're effective, and so the tardy forms give that timestamp of how late a student is versus asking them just says they're late or not late, and so it also affects parents and gives us a paper trail. But teachers are encouraged if students are showing patterns and they can determine what they feel is excessive to journal that and ask them so that it gets escalated and then those students can more quickly end up in ISS or otherwise. Also reminding teachers that students are in class, they should not be allowed to have a pass for the rest of the class, and also no there was a little glitch in Google Classroom on communicating who's an ISS that we fixed, and Mr. Walsh is going to talk with me on this and bring it to the teachers that are requesting that random policies brought back litigation. And then the other thing is the bus transfer funds purchase. Lots of questions came into the meeting, but most of those have been answered. But it was the approval of the funds, but that also approves the purchase when we get off the waiting list. The money is from internal accounts, which can only be used for student supplies and other things for students. People were asking about, out of school time, OST, that's a different line item. Personnel is a different line item. These are different line items, and there is over $1 million in that line item.
They were close to $1 million.
Yeah. And this was pre-Miss Dacres. Mr. Brewer originally put in the inquiry, I think.
Yeah, almost 5 years ago.
Almost 5 years ago.
Put that on the record.
And so it will be at least 6 before we get to the bus. Question about parking, it would be parking lot. Drivers do not have to have a special license because it is a smaller bus, seat 16. Staff members will be drivers, and some hires were like, well, I don't want to be a driver. Okay, then don't be a driver. But there are some staff members who are enthusiastic about driving that bus. And I think there might be a limit to the number of drivers, probably based on insurance. The bus is for all students. Post-secondary will use it for college visits. Field trips will use it. There are a significant number of smaller field trips. I've seen things that are like 12 students going on this or that. Our sports teams are often relatively small. Transporting instruments for graduation, transporting art to galleries, and then the process for accessing the bus will be determined when it gets closer to a reality. I just remember an all about transporting art for a pickup truck like last year, so not having to do that. What else?
The district pays for insurance, right? That's what we read in the management, and like there's a gas card that you use at a specific gas station. Those were kind of like the bigger.
And I think, we will have more information as it becomes closer to being a reality. And I know that we have talked about this informally, if not formally, at LSC meetings over the past couple of years. So I guess, it has been talked about, maybe not as formally as this. And the other thing was the timeline of it was like we had to get funds transferred before this meeting would happen, so we had to have a special meeting. And then I also make the management policy if you want to read more of that.
That sounds like typical administration. You've got 2 weeks to transfer the funds so that we can get you a bus in a year.
Yeah, sounds great.
Basically, yeah.
We all did it.
All right. Moving on, Senn Arts.
So we met yesterday, and I don't know if you guys saw the email that I sent it out today. I had assumed that maybe Holly hadn't seen it because Nicole sent me an email Monday evening. But basically,
And remind us, who's Nicole?
Milberg, Office of Teaching and Learning, saying that Senn is an approved, Senn Arts is an approved program of study for waivers. She attached a updated PE waiver form. However, there wasn't a lot of clarification about the computer science waiver. Last evening, just as we were wrapping up the Senn Arts meeting, we got an email from Chief Chikumbaba, sorry. And it kind of states the same thing. I'm wondering if we can get a little bit of clarification. In it, she says that there will be an arts program steering committee. And it sounds like that might be specific to Senn. Senn is forming arts program steering committee to strengthen the program further. This committee will be made up of students, teachers, parents, and parents will help ensure that the program's success and sustainability, providing recommendations for the arts program. The committee will be supported by a member of the arts department and post-secondary specialist. So I am a little confused as to whether that arts steering committee is the LSC arts committee or if this is a different one, if the LSC arts committee is going to report to the steering committee, if they're not the same thing. I don't know that there's a whole lot of information. I'm wondering if you have more information.
So I knew there was one draft that was going on, so I did see the draft from the email that was sent from Chief Milberg and the email that was sent from Chief Chikumbaba last night, just replying to families. And then Chief Chikumbaba was taking it one step further of like, how do we ensure that students know of the different programs that are available to them and the different programs that are out there, like how our students continue to be engaged within the arts, like over summer, on weekends when they're out of school as well. And so really using this committee so that students are aware of just different options throughout the school year, throughout the summer, how to continue to support them with post-secondary and post-secondary success and choices and how that lives and breathes together, and also just ensuring that the different departments within the Office of Teaching and Learning continue to work together, because in a large district, people work in silos a lot. So as far as the computer science waiver being an option, that is still not on the table from my understanding. And then they did update. I'm not sure if any parents have thoroughly read the PE waiver because I took some time to read it because I was like, huh? They did make some updates to the PE waiver on how and why students can apply and how they will be approved.
Yeah, and I think that was something that we were discussing as well. The language seems to get a little bit confusing in 4, and so we wanted to maybe ask if we could get some better clarification to make sure that this isn't an issue in the future. We're also wondering if it's possible to, in some way, alter the program descriptions on our side so that we're creating a documentation that yes, this is an approved program of study. We're thinking what happens when Chief Milberg is not Chief of Office in Teaching and Learning, and then people don't have this email that was sent out. And so finding ways to like make this more official and very clear, so that like this doesn't become an issue in the future.
Yeah, and I think what might be misunderstood for others, which is why I had to go back and reread the policy a couple times. So, PE exemption for, we're in high school, right? So we don't even, let's look at specifically grades to 11 to 12, because really that's what we're talking about, right? You can get it interscholastic, we've talked about that, but if we look at the second one, to enroll in academic classes which are required for admission to an institution of higher learning, provided that failure to take such classes will result in the pupil being denied admission to the institution of their choice in grades 11 and 12. This can include academic classes to prepare the student for post-secondary successes, international, and IB, advanced placement, dual credit, dual enrollment, CTE programs, approved programs of study, and work-based learning. So what this waiver does then, so depending on what courses which students are taking, it provides a wider umbrella to allow more students more access. However, there's a caveat. So if you go, so there's lots of pages to this because I was meeting with counseling to explain it. And so in order to qualify, right, anybody can fill out a form. That doesn't mean that you qualify. So how do I qualify for this waiver saying I need to take this class or this college won't accept me? Which is what this is stating. Students must initiate the exemption process by submitting an individual student exemption form signed by student and parent. This has to be done prior to school starting. In the fall. So right now we are working on registering our junior students. The counselor must confirm the academic course is required for admission into the institution of the student's choice. Also, the counselor must confirm there is no room in the student's schedule to take physical education course, and the student's schedule does not reflect non-required course electives. So I just want to be clear, yeah. You're like, wait, what is
How are you gonna do that ahead of your junior year? You know what I'm saying?
Because if it's, I mean, they're telling us it's an approved program of study. Like,
that you can apply. Just because it's approved doesn't mean you automatically get it. And I think that's the confusion. Not necessarily. No, it says.
I hear you. It's not
these students are getting the waivers.
This can include, right? And so they still are going to have to apply.
So it does feel like maybe what we need is to ask for more clarification.
But
that
don't we give
the
them
language
support
appears to say
for them to be able to apply, like the IB students? And so in the same way, we would give those.
Yeah, so that falls on the second part of that, saying you are taking 4 AP courses or 4 IB courses that you must take in order to get the certificate, so you qualify. So therefore, you do not have room for an elective.
But if you don't get the certificate, they don't retroactively withhold your diploma either. So it feels like having that approval as an approved program of study is like a good first step, but maybe what we really need to next do is ask for that clarification, because
last you want is a year from now, we'll be stuck in the same position.
So what does that mean for the schedule? Does that mean 2-hour period?
For junior and senior year, yes.
Okay.
The way the email said minimum 6 courses over 4 years,
Yep.
but I never offer 8. It sounds like, this is a good first step. I think this is a good win. I think this is hopeful.
right.
We try to make sure that this language and what's given to us that's solid, that CPS can't go back a year from now and say, no, we didn't mean that.
Right.
We changed our minds. Like, we want something that's in writing
Right.
that you gotta count this as a approved program and it's gonna be protected.
Right. I think it's important to acknowledge that it's a big and
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, that I'm feeling.
I feel like I'll feel that.
Just only more
I'll feel that after we get that actual
I'm talking
yes
about
to college.
college,
But yeah. So this is programming for freshmen next year, and I'm wondering, like, so then we're just gonna go ahead and program freshmen for those 2 classes?
No, we're programming, because this, we're talking about junior and senior, and like, Chief Takuma's email says minimum 6, right? So I need to program my freshmen so that they get their required electives in, so they get that computer science in. The same with my sophomores, and then junior and senior, when they have room for electives in their courses, which where she says a minimum 6, they could take 7, depending on which electives they want to or don't want to, or how many AP or IB courses they are taking, or they could fit more in.
Because every freshman can take, you have to take PE, freshman and sophomore year.
You have to, yeah.
Right, and currently, right now, what the art students do is they take PE for freshman and sophomore year, it's just they don't have language for 4 years, they have language for 2 years. So actually, it's language that gets cut, and we've never talked about that. But then also the computer science, there had been the understanding that the program, the arts program also qualified for waivers for computer science, but now we're being told, no, that doesn't. And so again, this is like a back and forth from like maybe emails that existed 15 years ago, and we're going back and forth.
So I would say, my understanding from those emails is computer science, there is no waiver.
So there is a waiver. There are at least 3 programs that already have like guaranteed waivers, and they cite IB courses and AP capstone as well as like approved courses of study that could qualify for waivers. And so that isn't, like I had asked Chief Milberg what the process is then for becoming an approved school for the computer science waivers, and I have not heard that.
Okay, I haven't heard about that either. Any conversations that I have had, it's just been clarifications around PE, so I think that was just like, let's start here and go from there.
Are there other schools that have a computer science waiver? What do they do? How did they do?
So there are 3.
Okay.
So there are 3 listed in the documentation that's provided by the Office of Computer Science.
Right. So
Under teaching.
if you
And
can
so-
see how they did that, how it works.
Yeah, and so I think that's the next step then
Yeah.
for the arts then is like, well, trying to find out, well, how did they get that?
Uh-huh.
How do we go about doing that? Are they looking for comparable skills that are taught? I'm happy to get into like the parallels that we are finding within the curriculums. And we can definitely look at more, but I feel like just getting the information about like what information needs to be provided to become an approved program.
Yeah.
It feels like we're doing a lot of work on the back end without really understanding what the goal is. And so.
Yeah, I'm just confused on how the Office of Teaching and Learning and the Chief Education Officer is able to PE waivers, but they don't have any communication with the Office of Computer Science. And it's the same office that told us they want quality control, but they don't even have anything to give us in terms of what quality looks like.
Right, and then they have like this required computer science class, it actually doesn't need to be taught by people who have a computer science certification. It's not really actually computer science, but like thinking about programming. It's more design thinking from what I can tell. So I feel like there are some really productive conversations that can be had about like what's being taught and what the expectations are, but right now that's a one-sided conversation.
Yeah, and our teachers has offers it down computer science to talking great things in the art classes, but they've denied that. But this is a huge, I think, good stepping stone to get the waivers, get the Office of Computer Science to approve program of study for PE, then it should be the program study for
Right.
computer science.
Pause you real quick. For the folks that are online, this computer is about to run out of battery, so if the Google Meet suddenly drops off, it's not you. Mr. Walsh is trying to dig up a power supply. So just wanted to let you know, just in case it drops off.
Mr. Walsh gets started.
He's digging one out, so yeah, if you got one.
And then beyond that, so I feel like the arts committee needs to have a discussion about what they want, what the scope is now,
Mm-hmm.
and what information we're trying to gather now. We definitely
So-
have some things in the works that
Yep.
we would like to present. However, we think a very good first step would be to ask for a series of surveys, just because we solve this issue, year over year, we should be asking for feedback. We should
Yeah,
incorporate that.
I think, my understanding from them saying that you need an arts steering committee is to have an independent committee dedicated to this arts program.
Did you get further information? 'Cause I
Yeah, that just from the idea of art steering committee, that sounds like what that would be. And my thought, at least as it is right now, is, we've only got 3 regular. Thank you. All right,
Any other feedback?
Were you making them all required or just optional to fill out?
Oh, it would be optional. So, it's specifically geared at, people who have graduated from the center's program.
I would,
Although, at a school level, I mean, doing an alumni survey for the whole school.
no, one thing that I would think of too is like, how far back are we thinking this alumni is gonna go? So even if we wanted to remain anonymous, I graduated within the last 2 years or like 3 to 5 years, because I do think it is important to get a range of when you graduated, because your experience.
And you just meant questions themselves, Mark.
Yeah.
Optional or required.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, the survey is optional. Questions themselves.
Yeah.
Yes, that was the plan. We do have, so you're talking about an augmentation to number 5. Please share information about, sorry.
work is something, I was a student, my major was.
When
yeah,
did you
it's
graduate?
like,
Maybe like, when did you graduate from Senn High School? Or like, what year did you graduate? Because I think that might give you, so like, our kids that graduated in the year of COVID is gonna be different than like the experience is all I'm saying.
And a kid that graduated 2 years ago is still in college. Whereas a kid that graduated 6 years ago maybe has.
Yeah.
So optional information about your graduated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just so you know. Okay, do I have a motion? All right. Okay, all in favor? All right, motion carries. Okay. Moving on.
Are you wanting them to reach out to like, Ms. Rochelle, to be like, hey, do you have the availability to send this out, because they do the alumni support?
Okay. That'd be good.
So like, I know she and Mr. Wolf could like get it to, our most current alumni type of thing. And then they also have connections to put on whatever alumni pages out there.
Yeah, I mean, the arts program has only been around for 14, 15 years, so we won't be getting too terribly much data, but yeah.
All right. Budget committee.
So the goal is to meet sometime this month. We know the budget will come up, so the goal is to start looking at not just just the budget approval process for this year, but going through how the LSC is supposed to approve funds and look at our bylaws, make sure we're understanding. There's questions about the $20,000 limit, that might be like a $10,000 cap we gotta look at. So that's a part of the budget committee to look at how we approve things, make sure we're in like legal standing with CPS, and then also that'll help us hopefully when we get the actual budget when that comes out, which is gonna be some of its own beast.
It's gonna be an adventure for all
Yeah,
of
at
us.
least we're doing it right and effectively, so that's the goal. So I'm gonna send out emails, hopefully, yeah, sometime early next week, people will meet them eventually.
Fantastic. All right, and might be a little early, but principal evaluation committee.
Yeah, same, to meet in the next 3-4 weeks before our next meeting. So we can next time present a timeline and process deciding on what we want to do. And put some dates on the calendar. It can be a little bit time consuming. So yeah.
Okay.
So, and just to clarify, this is year to date, so this is what we see in the fund summary, that is every month since school year started, or is it their fiscal year that started?
So school year is July 1. That's how the budget runs for.
Because where it says like expenditure, I guess I'm just wondering, like, is that expenditures for the year, is that expenditure?
And one thing that I mentioned too about the budget committee, like, no matter what is being spent or not being spent, like, good practice would be to meet quarterly, at least.
Yeah.
We don't really have that many budget transfers, just because of how our funding is set up, and how teachers are paid. So even just taking the time once a quarter, we know we either meet like 30 minutes before, you know, an LSC meeting, just to be like, hey, this is what it's been spending, or this is where we're at, because typically we don't have that many. It's been a while since we actually had to have anything that needed approval to transfer funds. And so I just think we have a committee, like, let's meet quarterly so that they can come back with feedback or updates, I would say.
Yes. It's good to have dedicated people with eyes on the numbers. There's a very good reason I'm not an accounting major. And then I did end up working for an tax and accounting firm because the fates don't like me. All right. And then before we move into public comments, discussion of online public comments. So currently the rules for public comments, the stated rules for public comments is you sign up on the sign up sheet. We do have a limit of 15 participants, 2 minutes per participant. And then we have a little bit of a nebulous rules around online participation. So
Allow online public comment, assuming there are not already 15 people in person to make public comment and sign up for it.
I agree with Faris. Like, I feel you should get priority if you come in. Like, maybe this is how I'm hearing you say it. If you come in person and there are 15 people that want to speak, they get priority. Let's say there's only 3 to 5 in person that have signed up to speak, or nobody, but somebody online wants to, and the slots are still open to allow that.
Yeah, I think it's fine if some of that, like, just a reminder, if like 50 people sign up, but someone wants to speak, the LSC can always vote to extend public comment in that meeting if you feel it's necessary.
So I guess I would push back just a little bit, because I know that we at one time had a guardian who was tuning in and maybe had things that she wanted to say, but she wasn't able to physically be here in person because of the medical issue. And so if people aren't able to physically come in person, the online is a way for them to participate. And it feels like maybe we should have like a spot or two at least open for people who do participate online. Who have to do that. I feel like that becomes an accessibility issue.
I agree with that.
I think that also, like, people have the opportunity to send
writing, and then that becomes one of the in-person ones, and it's read, which would also do that. And I also think you're talking about one meeting in 5 years, that there might be that, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that would be 7 spectators right now. So like, in person, I think that it doesn't seem like that would be a regular occurrence.
One thing we could add too, which I meant to and haven't, is we can add like a Google form for public comment and say if you have a public comment, you just want to submit it in writing, we just post the link. And anyone can submit their public comment.
So I would say I don't think that, right, then that means that people can sort of jump the line. That, right, we're creating one line here, which is 15 open spots. And it's very rare that we have that it happens that they all fill up. But at the same time, if something's happened, then people want to be heard. And I think that it's our job to hear. If we're saying, well, you can submit your written public comment, and that's going to count first, and then everybody else who comes in person is second, and everybody who is online.
Well, it would be something we would basically post.
I mean, I would say we could just read the public comments, like that might just be
Have
not,
people,
yeah, on the occasion that we get a public comment that is emailed to the LSC web email account, that we can just read it out loud.
Yeah, I
Or it
think,
can just be forwarded to all the.
Yeah.
I think maybe if there is like down to the LSC Gmail, if the Google form that's created, if it's done to LSC Gmail, we'll have the issue with like, if you're not CPS employee, you can't fill out the form.
Okay.
But if
Wait,
maybe,
say that again?
if you do like a Google form and then the CPS email, sometimes the permissions don't allow people to move
No,
on.
you just switch the permission that anyone can fill out.
Yeah, but I think just having the LSC Gmail as the form, you know, all in place, that's what all the FOIA requests and everything going anyway, just makes it easy. So maybe the solution is that if folks have something they want the LSC to know as a public comment, and they can't make it, they can fill out that form, and then maybe the chair emails the comments to everyone ahead of time so we can look at them. And if the memo feels like one needs to be discussed, then we can discuss it as an LSC separate from public comments.
I think people who are here should be prioritized, like in person, for sure. Anyway.
With the exception of accessibility, I think.
Right, I mean,
But that's a particular case, you could leave that within the rules if there's an
Yeah.
accessibility
I guess
issue.
I'm thinking about the parent who told me that she wasn't able to make LSC meetings because she had dialysis treatment, and it just like wore her out. She didn't do that.
Makes total sense.
And
That's
I
a very
would
specific.
want for her to be able to express any concerns that she has.
And I think that if that had come up and you had brought that to us and you had said that, we would have said, we would have made that feasible for her.
Yeah, I feel like it's something we can discuss.
Yeah, that's one thing, is that we have our rules, but just like we can extend the number of comments in public comments, we can vote to suspend the rules if there's a special case.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I
in our,
think,
in our bylaws, when we was COVID, it was all virtual.
yeah,
When we came back into, when the state mandated us back into person, we talked about the participation and everything. So we decided was that it was saying that we will read, if you have a public comment online, you put it in the comment box and we will read it out loud. Still allowing the participation in person, because we was mandated back into in-person meeting. So we still wanted to give that virtual option, the opportunity to be participation into our meeting. So that's what we said. If you have a public comment, just put it in the box and we'll read it.
Oh, so we're reading out their full comments? I guess I feel like.
Yeah, that's what we were doing. It was in our bylaw. We read the comment out loud instead of them speaking. And there's a point one time we let them speak. But yeah, well, we thought
Yeah,
in our
it's like,
bylaw.
I mean,
Yeah.
we definitely had meetings.
Yeah.
Especially like when we were looking at principal hiring.
Yeah.
That we allowed them to speak
Yeah.
in their own words.
Yeah, but we just, in the bylaw, say we made sure that we still kept the virtual option public comment there.
Yeah, I don't think that we have that option that's in our bylaws.
If it was in there and we never took it out, it should still be there.
Still in there. So,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So to reiterate, the people in person sign up on the sheet, have the ability to deliver their public comments. The people that are online can put their comments into the comment window and we will read them. And if there is, so that's the official rule. In special circumstances, we can simply suspend the rules if we need to accommodate.
Could we give people an option, if they want to speak to LSC too, is that an option? If someone says, hey, I want to actually give my public comment online, is that an option that you consider?
Yeah, we did that before. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we just didn't want to get rid of. The goal was we didn't want to get rid of that virtual option. When we came back to in person, so the council decided to put that to keep that virtual option open.
So maybe the procedure, we'll take in the in-person comments first, and then we'll go online. If less than 15 spots filled up, we can go online. But if it's more than 15 spots, we can vote to suspend. Vote to extend.
Vote to extend, yeah.
Personal public comment, which I don't think gonna happen that often. And then give the option, maybe they want to just email or fill out the form that they want the LC to know something. They don't have to necessarily speak in the public, but if they want LC to get a comment, they can always put comment box.
Yeah, you can fill out the comment box, and then if it's a night like tonight, where there's not that many people, then we can open it up and say, you can put it in the comment, or honestly, we've got enough time if you want to come off mic and just okay.
And who will be making
Yeah. Okay, and with that, public comment.
I'm Ivy Poole. I'm a parent of a ninth grader in the dance program. I really just came tonight because I wanted to say thank you to the LSC. Back in December, I spoke up and I said, asked you guys to be curious about the changes to the arts program and to join with us. And you guys at that meeting agreed to form the arts committee. And I'm just really super grateful to all of you for your time, especially those of you who are teachers and don't have arts students, or are not arts teachers. Those of you who dedicated so much time over the course of the past 6 weeks. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. The letters that we got back from the CPS are incredible. They show just an enthusiasm for Senn Arts and for our students that is so gratifying to see as a parent. Just makes me feel like we do the right decision in school. So I'm super excited about the future of Senn Arts. And I'm also really confident, based on the tenor of those letters and what they said, that we will find a solution to the outstanding issue and things that are still open, so that we will be able to maintain current programming and curriculum for incoming ninth graders, which I still feel like is so important. But I feel like we're on a great path, and I'm just really, really grateful to you guys. And I don't know if people come here and tell you enough. Thank you. So thank you. And to that point, next week, February 19th, we're going to be doing a social event at Whiskey Girl Tavern, 5 to 7 p.m. It's hosted by the Senn Arts Parents Volunteer Committee, and I would love it if you all came, because I'd love to feature Senn Arts with you all and our strong community. So thank you.
AP Littlefair and I will be there with bells on, and I also want to really thank you, Ivy, too. Your letters were very kind in a time where things are frustrating or we're upset, but I think it just goes to show kindness and niceness can go a long way, and sometimes it gets you heard faster. So I think you did an amazing job modeling of way to voice your concerns, your frustrations, but also do it in a way that is nice and people pay attention to it and want to follow up. So thank you for your steadfast letter writing campaign as well, and for also just being able to represent not only Senn as great school, right? Like a program and also, you know, your child and who you are, but like in just a very lovely manner. So thank you for that too. We appreciate that. Or I can say I definitely appreciate like just reading a letter that is like, please and thank you. So thank you.
I'm gonna say that, thank you to the parents as well who stepped up and they made the noise and got involved in forming the committee, and also the stronger said, you know, I think that community involvement is important in school, and I think that also pushed CPS to make positive change. So, but I'm glad that we have a school with so many involved parents, so that makes me happy. So thank you.
All right. Anyone else in person? Yes,
Sorry, I didn't see the sign.
that's okay.
Late, my apologies. I wanna reiterate what Ivy said as well. As a first year parent, I think you know, we put a lot of stock into coming into Senn in the community, and we're really thrilled with what we saw. We're shocked, and now this news is really exciting. I've heard from the friends of my daughter who are 8th grade prospective parents. They are really excited too. So hopefully that bolsters back up some of the thoughts and views of what people were going to go for and accept or, you know, opt into. I think one of the things that I see as a future need is just to really dive deep into how do we just really foster the importance of this program to the elementary schools that feed into, not just that our feeder schools, but the others further up the field. But I think that's like a really great opportunity for us, and I know that there's still a lot of energy within the parents to like, let's keep this momentum. So thank you as well. I do want to kind of go back briefly to the letter that says all students in the arts program will take a minimum of 6 courses, minimum, and will have flexibility in scheduling to select additional arts classes aligned to their interests in 11th and 12th grade. That very clearly to me says we guarantee that first year and second year you've got the 2, and then that 3rd and 4th year is where the PE waiver comes in and is a factor. So I know that they didn't talk about the computer science thing. I know that we're going to go for clarity, but I want to just really make sure that this is a little bit of me getting it into the minutes. That is what the letter says. Everything from that reading to me, and I think all the other parents who saw it, indicates that we have got this as long as for the students who are taking an AP course, that's where we're going to give you the flexibility to have that space so that you cannot lose your AP arts course or your or whatever the other AP or IB classes that they're taking. So I just wanted to kind of tie into that. The next thing I wanted to just quickly mention is I know as we were doing a lot of our work, one thing that came to light was that the dance floor for the students is in dire need of improvement, repair, fixing. Is not so correct, the floor for the dance room. So I was just going to go into, like, I think we sort of.
Have a Marley. They put a Marley down now.
Yeah.
They put a Marley. Yeah. Yeah. The dance teacher put a Marley on the floor.
Okay.
Well, what is a Marley?
Because I know that I'd seen
It's like a specific.
input about the floor
Yeah.
from the prior,
That's with the vendor, right? There's at least so many vendors that can do that type of work. And the vendors that are able to do the work are dropping out of the process to become a preferred vendor, because that's so headache driven, or they're more expensive than what is reasonable for high school to have. So that, from what that's the juxtaposition of we have a process to be a preferred vendor, but it's such a headache for these specialists. It's the same thing that happens with a lot of times in theater with the lighting instruments and the lighting rating. Those companies just do that work, and they don't have to jump through hoops to try to get the CPS contract. And so that's the catch-22 for these really specialized things, and CPS just doesn't really have a way around it.
that sounds like a great opportunity to sell steering.
Another huge problem with CPS is that they don't pay their for like 6 months to a year afterwards. And that, I know at least from an architectural standpoint, like a lot of architects can't afford to do CPS because they can't afford to just dedicate months on end to a project and then not get paid for it for another year.
What did work, maybe not the solution, but what did work when I was at Pierce is that there was a group of parents that got together and said, this is what I'm gonna give the school for a donation. And they said, this is what I'm gonna give the school. And then we came and we had magically on a day, all the new basketball system riggings and the motor and everything, we're just waiting for them to have installed. And so there's ways around that if it's mobilized that way, but that's the only thing that I've been able to see work.
Also, that's where Friends of can come in because they can write checks to vendors that don't have to be CPS
So
vendors.
that's true. So we don't have to use the CPS vendors for that. That's great.
No, because you're your own entity.
Great.
All right, okay, we got a couple people online, go ahead and just call them out. All right.
We have Kathleen Hayes, you was first, so you can turn your mic on and speak.
Thanks. Hi, good evening. I have a question. It's a follow-up question for Principal Dacres regarding student fees. I would like you to clarify specifically what IB fees cover for 9th and 10th graders. I'm the parent of a 9th grade IB student, which is why I'm curious. But I will say I've also noticed that the arts fee is not itemized on the student fee schedule that's posted, and both of those fees should be itemized per CPS policy. So what you said by email when you responded, Principal Dacres, is that the IB fee covers supplemental supplies and textbooks for IB classes. My son has no textbooks, by the way. Student transportation for field trips. He's never gone on a field trip. An IB banquet at the end of the year, and incentives and awards for students at the banquet and throughout the year. So I'm still unclear, and examples would be really helpful, especially the supplemental supplies for classrooms and the awards and incentives. If you could please break those down with examples. And just, I would like to see Senn audit its school fees before it charges these special IB fees for next year so that we're sure that student fees go to classrooms and teacher needs so they don't have to, go to donors choose, for example. And just to reiterate that CPS student, there's a policy. You have to itemize every item that student fees will cover before you collect those fees for the school year. So the purchase of the minibus, for example, violates that policy because there's nothing that says that you're going to purchase a minibus this year on that student fee schedule. The one last thing I want to turn my attention to is public comment. I was listening to the discussion, and the CPS Board of Education does both in person and online. And, there was a suggestion by some council members that in-person participants are somehow more deserving of public comment than those online, and that really seems to fly in the face of the spirit of public comment at public meetings, which is to enable the public to voice concerns and questions. And so I would like you to just reconsider that dichotomy that you sort of delineated. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Jason Menard. You can turn your mic off. Mic on, sorry. Are you still there, Jason? Going once? Going twice? Yeah, I can't move.
Maybe open the queue.
Jason messaged me saying for whatever reason he's being denied, it's something to do with his phone. So
Do it to his phone.
We need to.
Yeah, you.
we need to approve something first because it's being recorded, maybe?
No.
That happens on Teams sometimes. I don't know if it's like a,
He said it's fine.
Okay.
okay.
It's weird because she was able to,
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah,
both
that's weird.
not.
All right. That's it.
All right. Okay, that is our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I motion we adjourn.
A quick question for you.
Yes.
So, a lot of documents here, appreciate like organizing them. If anyone is really passionate about going home and diving this tonight, or I suppose okay for me taking them, scanning them, and putting them in the LSC drive. That'd be easier for folks. So they don't really want to see the documents tonight.
Are those here today or?
I think those, there may be some repeats in there. I don't think that's.
I went through them and I looked at.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
The ones that
I am perfectly fine with you taking on that task. All right.
Do we have a second?
Yeah, we have an open motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, now